Hey guys, so let's say that I wanted to print out the word hello 10 times. How could I write a code that does this? Well, you might say that I can just write the command cout hello and L that looks like this 10 times on separate lines, like this. This code prints out the word hello, goes to the next line, and then prints it out again, 10 times. But this looks a little repetitive. And what if I wanted to print out hello 100 or 1,000 times? Would I repeat this line of code those many times? That takes too long. Instead, I can use a loop to print out the word hello as many times as I want in just a few lines of code. That is what you will learn about in this video. So, often, you may want to do things repeatedly in programs, and the best way to do that is by using loops. Loops can execute a block of code as long as a specified condition is reached. Loops are handy because they save time, reduce errors, and they make code more readable. In this video, you will learn about one kind of a loop, the while loop. The while loop loops through a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. This is the syntax for the while loop. So in this syntax, as long as the condition in the parentheses is true, the code block will keep getting executed over and over until the condition becomes false. Now, here is one very important thing you need to keep in mind when you are using loops, especially while loops. Make sure that you do not cause an infinite loop. What this means is that you need to make sure that the condition in the parentheses will eventually become false so that your loop will eventually terminate. If your condition never becomes false and it always remains true, the code block will keep getting executed over and over, forever. When this happens, it is called an infinite loop, and it is very bad for your computer. So make sure that you don't cause an infinite loop. It will make more sense when I show you an example. So let's say that I want to write a code that prints out the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on a separate line. To do this, first I would create an integer variable that is going to store the number that I want to print out. Let's call this variable I. So I will write int I is equal to 1. 1 is the first number that I want to print out. Now, I will create a while loop that prints out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, this was the syntax that I showed you for the while loop. Now, inside the loop, the first line of code I will write is cout I and L. This code prints out the value of I and goes to the next line. Right now, I is equal to 1. So this code will print out 1. But the next time the loop executes, I want the loop to print out 2. And then the next time, it needs to print out 3, and so on. So, that is why on the next line, I will write I plus equal to 1. This code adds 1 to the current value of I. So, when this loop starts, the first time it will print out the current value of I, which is 1. And then it will add 1 to I. so I will become 2. Then it will read this line of code again and print out 2. And then it will read this line of code and add 1 to 2. And then I will become 3. The third time, it will read this line of code, print out the new current value of I, which is now 3, and then it will add 1 to I, so I becomes 4. And this will keep going on and on and on. For example, if I put true as the condition over here, then this loop would keep getting executed forever, because the loop executes as long as the condition is true. So, if I were to put true here, that would be an example of an infinite loop, and you should avoid this. Now, I want this loop to keep getting executed and printing out I and adding 1 to I until I reaches the value 6. Because remember, I only want the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to get printed out. So, once I becomes 6, I want this loop to terminate, because it would have already printed out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, to do this, I would write the condition over here to be I is less than 6. Now, what is going to happen in this code is that first it will check whether I is less than 6. The first time, I will be equal to 1, as we have declared over here. So, this condition will be true, and this code block will be executed. Then, 1 will be printed out, and I will become 2. Then, this condition will be checked again. The second time, I will be 2, which is still less than 6. So, this condition will evaluate to true, and the code block will be executed again. So this will keep happening until I becomes 5. 5 is printed out, and then 1 is added to 5, due to this line of code. Then I becomes 6. Then, the 6th time, it will check this condition, and since 6 will not be less than 6, this loop will stop getting executed, and the loop will terminate. Let's run the code to test it out. As expected, it prints out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on separate lines. So this is how the while loop works. In the next few videos, you will learn more about different kinds of loops.